Look around. Everyone's talking, scrolling, pretending they've got it all figured out. But deep down, they're broke, lost, and powerless. You feel it too, don't you? That frustration, that itch to break out? Good. Because this isn't for the weak. This is for the 1 in 100, ready to shut out the noise, take control, and build a life so powerful that no one can ignore it. Most men think they need motivation to get things done. That's the first mistake. Motivation is an emotion, it comes and goes, it's weak. Discipline is what separates the average from the elite. It's the decision to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's waking up early, hitting the gym, grinding your business, studying your craft, even on the days you're tired, uninspired, or surrounded by distraction. Because deep down you understand that nobody is coming to save you, no one is going to hand you power, money, or respect. You have to earn it every single day. And discipline is the weapon that makes you earn it. Most people spend their lives being slaves to comfort. They hit snooze, they delay the work, they avoid the pain, they make excuses, and then they wonder why they're broke, out of shape, and stuck. A high-value man doesn't operate like that. He wakes up with intention. He structures his day like a general preparing for war. His routine is tight, his standards are high, and his tolerance for laziness is zero. Discipline isn't just about showing up. It's about showing up with force, with focus, with the mindset that quitting is not an option. You don't negotiate with weakness. You kill it every single time it shows up. The truth is, nobody cares about your excuses. Nobody cares about how hard your life is. What matters is what you do in spite of it. Discipline is your declaration that you refuse to live like the masses. It's what builds your character, and character is the currency of the high-value man. When you're disciplined, your habits become unshakable. You don't skip workouts because it's raining. You don't slack on your goals because it's the weekend. You don't binge garbage because you had a bad day. You lock in, you perform under pressure, you remain relentless regardless of how you feel. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes your identity. Discipline is also what gives you freedom. That's the paradox the average man will never understand. When you have discipline, you control your time, your body, your emotions, your decisions. You're not pulled around by cravings, impulses, or social pressure. You don't live in reaction, you live by design. You start building a life that's intentional, where every action you take compounds toward power, money, and respect. You look around and realize you're playing a different game while everyone else is just surviving, drifting, settling. Every great man, every respected figure, every winner you admire didn't get there by accident. They had to master themselves first. The gym sessions when they were exhausted, the business calls when they felt like quitting, the self-discipline to say no to comfort, no to temporary pleasure, no to people who didn't align with the mission. It's not glamorous, it's not fun, but it's necessary. And it's in those moments, when no one is watching, that the high-value man is forged. Not in the spotlight, not with applause, but in the silence of early mornings and late nights, where most men fall and only the disciplined rise. You build power by becoming someone who can't be shaken. You build wealth by becoming consistent with results. You gain respect by showing the world you have control when others don't. And all of that starts with one thing: discipline. Not once in a while, but every single day without fail. When you understand that, you don't wait to feel good. You just do the work. The modern world has turned men soft, distracted, and weak. It celebrates laziness, excuses, and emotional breakdowns. But a high-value man doesn't bow to that nonsense. He knows that power, influence, and success start by mastering the most important asset he owns: his body and mind. If you walk into a room and you're overweight, sluggish, and low energy, you've already lost before saying a word. Your presence is weak, your value is low, and people won't respect you. But when you walk in lean, muscular, upright, and alert, people notice. You don't have to say anything. Your energy speaks first. And that kind of presence only comes from discipline, from training hard, eating clean, sleeping right, and staying sharp. Most men don't even know what real strength feels like. They live in constant brain fog from processed food, screen addiction, and zero physical effort. They've traded testosterone for comfort, and then they wonder why no one listens to them, why no woman respects them, and why life feels dull. The truth is, your mind cannot be sharp if your body is weak. Your energy, your discipline, your confidence, they're all rooted in the condition of your body. Lifting weights isn't just about looks. It's about creating mental resilience. Every rep is a battle against weakness. Every session is a reminder that pain is a teacher, not an enemy. And when your body gets stronger, so does your self-respect. You start standing taller, you speak with more conviction, you become the type of man who doesn't flinch when life gets hard. That's what women admire, that's what competitors fear, and that's what weak men secretly envy. Now combine that physical power with mental sharpness and you become unstoppable. Because a high-value man trains his mind like a weapon. He doesn't drown in distractions. He isn't addicted to dopamine hits from pointless scrolling or hours of video games. His mind is focused, calm, alert. He reads, he studies winners. He masters skills. He understands the world. He anticipates moves. He thinks 5 steps ahead. While others are reacting emotionally, he's executing with precision. Controlling your mind is about building inner strength. You stop reacting to every insult, every bad day, every minor inconvenience. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove yourself. You move with quiet confidence because you know who you are. That's power. And it doesn't come from therapy, from complaining, or from soft affirmations. It comes from putting in the work, from doing the hard things daily, from choosing self-restraint over self-pity. A high-value man doesn't let the world program his thoughts, he programs himself. He chooses thoughts that serve him, he rejects weakness, fear, and confusion. He builds a mental fortress where doubt can't live. You can't buy that kind of confidence. It comes from struggle, from sacrifice, from earning your respect through pain. Your body becomes armor, your mind becomes a sword, and when the two align, you become dangerous. You walk through the world with the kind of strength that can't be faked. People feel it. You start attracting opportunities, admiration, and wealth. Not because you begged for them, but because you became a magnet for them. Everything you want, money, power, respect, starts with owning your body and mastering your mind. Without that, you're just another forgettable man in the crowd. With it, you rise above all of them. The world respects money. It listens to money. It follows money. No matter what anyone tells you about humility, about inner peace, about some fantasy of moral superiority, the truth is this. In a world run by systems, by rules, by influence, money gives you the power to bend them. Money gives you time, it gives you space, it gives you leverage. And the high-value man knows that if he doesn't have control over his income, if he doesn't have multiple sources flowing in, then he's not powerful. He's just a servant pretending to be free. So what do rich, dominant men do? They learn how money works. They study it like it's war strategy, because in many ways it is. You can't be a man begging for weekends, for breaks, for tiny paychecks that disappear before they land in your account and expect to command respect. No one respects the man who needs permission to live. No one admires the man who's always counting coins, stressing over bills, and walking on eggshells. Money doesn't solve all problems, but being broke makes every problem worse. So a high-value man goes on the offensive. He stops thinking like a consumer and starts thinking like a creator. He looks for skill sets that pay. He learns sales, marketing, leadership, tech, investing, whatever it takes to build capital. He stops wasting hours doing what's easy and starts doing what pays. And once he earns it, he multiplies it. He doesn't blow his first win on garbage to impress other broke people. He reinvests, stacks, builds, compounds. Because he's not in it for flex. He's in it for freedom. Money is not just about buying cars and watches. It's about taking control of your time. It's about choosing who you work with, where you go, and how you move. It's about protecting your family, building your empire, and never being at the mercy of anyone's approval. A man without financial power is a man who is always begging. Begging for stability, begging for respect, begging for attention. But the man with financial power doesn't beg. He chooses, he decides. Because when you have resources, you don't tolerate disrespect. You don't waste time with nonsense. You don't operate from fear. You make moves from a place of confidence because you've already built the foundation. What most men do is work for decades, retire with crumbs, and wonder why they never felt powerful. That's the trap. That's the game designed to keep you quiet and dependent. But a high-value man plays a different game. He takes the risk, he learns the rules, he builds assets, not liabilities, he doesn't chase trends, he studies principles, and that's why his income never depends on luck. He's not relying on one job, one boss, or one source. He has layers, he has control, he becomes recession-proof, system-proof, and ultimately untouchable. Money isn't a byproduct of luck or background. It's a byproduct of action, aggression, focus, and long-term vision. So when people ask how to gain power and respect, the answer always includes money. Not because it's everything, but because it's the gateway to everything else. If you want people to take you seriously, to listen to what you say, to feel your presence when you walk in the room, you better not be broke. You better have income that proves your discipline, your intelligence, and your ability to produce results. That's what makes the difference. That's how you stop being just another man with opinions and start being a man with influence. Money isn't the goal. Power is. And money is the tool to get you there. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you command. And you don't command it with your mouth. You command it with your presence, with your discipline, with the way you carry yourself and the results you deliver. Weak men crave approval. They want to be liked, they want validation, and they're always adjusting themselves to fit in. High-value men couldn't care less about being liked. They move according to principle, not popularity. They understand that respect comes when you build a life that others look at and admire, not for your charm, not for your words, but for your work ethic, your results, and the strength behind your decisions. The world tests you constantly. People size you up. They look at your posture, your tone, your consistency. And if you're flinching, stuttering, backing down, making excuses, they'll never respect you. Because real respect doesn't come from image, it comes from substance. That means you must be a man who shows up daily, a man who speaks with clarity and moves with intent. You don't need to talk about how confident you are when your lifestyle already screams it. When you're on point with your money, your body, your time, and your mindset, people feel it. They may not even understand why, but they'll feel a different energy around you. That's respect. It's not enough to say you want to be respected. Every man wants that. The question is, have you earned it? Have you faced discomfort without folding? Have you made decisions that cost you something in the short term because you were playing the long game? Have you said no when it was easier to say yes? Most men don't have the spine to do that. They compromise for acceptance and then wonder why nobody treats them seriously. But a man who has standards, who's willing to stand alone rather than bow to weakness, that man is rare. And he is respected, even by those who disagree with him. Women respect him, men respect him, even his enemies respect him, because deep down, everyone knows what it takes to be that level of solid. It's not noise, it's not bragging, it's quiet, consistent strength. It's turning up when no one's watching. It's doing what needs to be done without recognition. It's the kind of discipline and control that separates leaders from followers. And here's what separates high-value men from the herd. They don't just chase respect. They embody it. They respect themselves so much that it becomes impossible for others not to reflect that back. They respect their time, their goals, their health, their word. And when others see that, they respond in kind. No one can give you what you don't first give yourself. Respect is also protection. It keeps you from being walked over. It shields you from manipulation. People don't play games with men they respect. They don't waste their time. They bring value. They speak differently. That's the power of being a man who commands respect without asking for it. And this isn't about being arrogant or aggressive. It's about being grounded, about being so in control of yourself that people feel safer, clearer, and sharper just being around you. That's the effect of true masculine earned respect. You want power, you want access, you want admiration. Don't chase it. Build yourself into the man who deserves it. And when that man walks into a room, respect is automatic. Every high-value man understands that energy is a finite resource, and where you direct that energy determines the outcome of your life. Most people are scattered, unfocused, and constantly distracted. They wake up reacting, responding to messages, social media, drama, and noise that adds zero value. They're addicted to being busy, not productive. They chase dopamine instead of discipline. That's why their lives look exactly the same year after year. Nothing moves forward, because they never choose focus. A powerful man realizes early on that his energy is gold, and he guards it like his life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. The problem is that average men waste their best hours. They get sucked into gossip, cheap entertainment, scrolling endlessly, talking about people who don't matter, situations they can't control, and goals they'll never chase. They think they're relaxing, but they're just decaying. High-value men do the opposite. They schedule their days with intent. They cut out noise. They build their mornings around momentum and their evenings around preparation. They don't waste mental space on pointless arguments, irrelevant opinions, or distractions disguised as obligations. If it doesn't build their body, their bank, or their peace, they remove it. That's not cold, that's clarity. Laser focus is a weapon. It's how empires are built, Not by doing more things, but by doing fewer things with more intensity. 1 hour of deep, undistracted work beats 5 hours of half-hearted multitasking. The man who learns to lock in, to channel everything into one mission at a time, is unstoppable. He's not chasing approval, he's not running in circles, he's executing. And the more you practice that level of tunnel vision, the more you realize how noisy and chaotic the world is. People who can't focus will try to pull you down to their level. They'll call you obsessive, antisocial, arrogant, but what they're really saying is, your discipline exposes my laziness. When you focus, you begin to value silence. You begin to value space. You understand that not every conversation deserves a response. Not every invite deserves a yes. Not every thought deserves attention. You choose what enters your mind and what leaves it. You become deliberate with your words, your time, your habits, and from that discipline comes a quiet confidence. A knowing that you're moving with purpose while others drift aimlessly. That energy attracts opportunities, builds credibility, and multiplies your results. This level of control doesn't come naturally, it's earned. It takes sacrifice. It takes saying no to things that feel good now for the sake of something greater later. But once you start, you realize how few people are really locked in. They're half in everything. Half in the gym, half in their business, half in their relationships. That's why they get half results. But you weren't made for half. You were made to dominate, to conquer, to create impact. That takes full focus. It takes you getting brutally honest with how you spend your time and who you give access to. You will offend people, you will lose people, but what you gain is worth it. Clarity, growth, results, and peace. Focus doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. You become sharper, your standards rise, your environment improves. And people will notice. They'll see you moving differently, talking differently, executing differently, and they'll either rise with you or fall off. Either way, you win. Because focus doesn't just bring success, it brings power. And the man who controls his energy controls his destiny. A high-value man doesn't just chase external success. He masters himself from the inside out. Self-control is the foundation of everything that separates the strong from the weak. Most men live like slaves to their impulses. If they feel hungry, they eat junk. If they feel tired, they sleep all day. If they feel bored, they waste hours online. If someone insults them, they snap. If something gets hard, they quit. Their emotions dictate every move, and then they wonder why their life looks like a mess. That's not masculinity, that's chaos in disguise. Self-control is what turns a man into a weapon. It's the ability to say no when it's hard, to delay gratification, to move with discipline when everyone else is moving with desperation. Every time you resist a temptation, you take back power. Every time you stay calm when provoked, you prove to yourself that you're in control. And control is magnetic. People can feel it. They can sense when a man has full command of himself. It radiates in how he speaks, how he walks, how he handles stress. This isn't about being robotic. It's about being lethal. It's about being the kind of man who can feel everything and still make the right move. The move that aligns with purpose, not with ego or emotion. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. And leadership begins with self-command. That means you control your appetite, your time, your habits, your anger, your distractions, your weaknesses. You don't lie to yourself. You don't make excuses. You hold the line. You set rules and follow them whether you feel like it or not. That's what builds integrity. That's what builds resilience. That's what creates the kind of discipline that compounds over time into massive success. The man who shows up and does the work regardless of mood is the man who wins long term. People talk about motivation like it's a magical fuel, but motivation fades. Self-control stays. Motivation is fleeting. One bad night and it's gone. But self-control doesn't ask how you feel, it tells you what to do. And the more you train it, the more powerful you become. You don't fall into the traps that destroy average men. You don't get baited into stupid arguments. You don't waste hours chasing validation. You don't sabotage your own progress because of a craving. You move like a man who has something bigger driving him. Even in moments of failure, a man with self-restraint doesn't spiral. He analyzes, he adjusts. He doesn't crumble because one thing went wrong. He stays centered. That's the key. In a world of extremes, you stay steady. When others get emotional, you stay logical. When others panic, you strategize. That calm, controlled energy separates winners from losers. It's what builds trust. It's what earns respect. It's what keeps you grounded when storms hit, because the storm always comes. And when it does, only the men who've trained their inner world survive. The truth is, most people can't master themselves, so they try to control others. They manipulate, complain, blame, and point fingers. But a real man doesn't try to change the world before mastering his own world. And that starts with him, his thoughts, his reactions, his choices. And from that mastery, everything else follows. Wealth, power, legacy. It's not easy, it's a daily fight. But every day you dominate your impulses, you get one step closer to becoming unstoppable. Because when you've mastered yourself, there's nothing left that can master you. The world doesn't need more men chasing trends, approval, or cheap dopamine. It needs men who are locked in, disciplined, and dangerous in the best way possible. Men who ghost distractions, eliminate weakness, and sharpen themselves into weapons of purpose. Becoming high value isn't about luck, money, or fame. It's about how you show up when no one's watching, how ruthlessly you cut off what no longer serves you, and how relentlessly you chase growth even when it's uncomfortable. Power, money, and respect aren't handed out. They are earned by men who refuse to be average. So if you're serious, if you're tired of wasting potential, then disappear from the noise, master your mind, and make the next 6 months your turning point. Your future self doesn't need more excuses. He needs results. Go earn them.